What's going on, y'all? Victory Monday. We're back at it with Jen Sports Corner. I'm your host, Jen. This is my co-host, Ryan. And we're about to get into some bird talk, man. You know what time it is, man. A big win yesterday over the Green Bay Packers. For all my Bears fans out there, happy late Christmas. To all the Eagles fans out there, we're moving on to the next round. But let's talk about the game, how it went, and then some of the the storylines that came up out of it. So, Eagles 22-10 in the link over the Packers kind of went the way that I think a lot of us thought it would be. Pretty, pretty defensive minded game, physical game. But the Eagles, they were able to run the ball when they wanted to. Saquon did his thing. So did Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, he had that one run near the end. And look, both defenses, they played at a high level. Jalen Hurts didn't pass for a lot of yards, but he still got the job done. 13 for 21, 131 yards, two touchdowns with a quarterback rating of 111.4. Say what you will, right? But the rating speaks for itself, and the touchdowns don't lie. Jordan Love, on the other hand, 20 for 33, 212 yards, quarterback rating of 41.5 because he had no touchdowns and three interceptions. Not a really good day for him for obvious reasons with the elbow and whatnot. And then defensively, like I said before, our receivers, when we were trying to pass the ball, they really couldn't cover Devonta Smith. Jahan Dotson had a touchdown in the back of the end zone. First touchdown of the damn year for him. Dallas Goedert had that beast mode earthquake run for a touchdown that everybody's still talking about. And AJ Brown, he had one catch, 10 yards, and he was just chilling. And we'll talk about some of the things that he was doing on the sideline later. Not that it's really a big deal, but it's certainly going to be entertaining. But Ryan, what did you think about what went on in the game, the Eagles' offense, their defense, and what they were able to do in this game?
I think the defense, the 10 points speak for itself, they did their thing out there, man. I thought Nolan Smith really shined in this game. I think this was definitely his best game. Really, I don't know. I felt like I've seen a lot of improvement through him throughout this year, obviously, but it was good to see in this game, especially in a big time playoff game like that. That was good to see. Mitchell's first interception, I was happy to see him get, that first pick out of the way.
Right.
And of course, he wanted it to show up on the stat line this season, but what better way to do it in the playoffs? You know what I mean? So, but offensively, they look, as we all knew, it was going to be Jalen was going to show some rust, overthrow a couple times. But what really stood out to me was I watched a YouTube video earlier that really made a lot of sense to the reason also why they struggled, and it showed like there was a lot of plays where the Packers just knew, like the defenders knew what they were going to do pre-snap, and it showed like a lot of predictability. Basically the no creativity and within the offense, which we discussed before. And that is another part of the reason why I believe, just based off of what I saw, one of the reasons why they also struggled. And if you watch the tape, I'm probably going to send the video to you after we're done this podcast. That no one was getting. It wasn't so much of Jalen Hurts looking that bad. It was more so the fact that the Packers just knew what we were doing. No one was getting open. He had nowhere to go with the ball. And it just showed, play after play, it just really, it was bad for him. And that's part of the reason why I believe they struggle. I think we all know Saquon did his thing. But to me, that draws red flags when a team automatically is knowing what you're going to do pre-snap and you become that predictable to me. So, it was nice to get the dub. The defense was great, but that to me draws a little bit of concern. I believe it is fixable, but they need to, figure that out moving forward. Because as we said before, this offense can be very elementary.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I look, we went out to the bar, we watched the game, and when Jalen Hurts is holding the ball too long, and it seems as though he's not seeing open receivers. I think it's very, you have to let people enjoy the game in the moment, be happy, be mad, throw a fit when the play doesn't go their way. But there's a reason why fans are in the stands, including us, and coaches are on the sideline because one, a lot we're not seeing the all 22 footage. So you don't actually see what's going on in the field and the way the quarterback's seeing it or the way the defensive back is seeing it conversely. You don't see if they're playing cover one, if they're playing cover three, if they're disguising coverages, if they're showing blitz and then dropping guys out. There was
Yeah.
one play, and I definitely want to check that video out. There was one play where the Eagles come up to the line and it just seems as though, based off the alignment that the Eagles had, they knew how to shift their defensive line to cover the correct gaps. Like they had already prepared for this, but not just prepared for it. It's like they, again, too predictable.
Hmm.
Um, One thing we don't see enough of, and I will continue to harp on it. We don't see any pre-snap motion.
Hmm.
Um, that to me, that has nothing to do with the personnel. It's a philosophy issue.
Yeah.
Um, you can have an average quarterback behind center, but he's still getting paid. Most guys that have played at the high school, college level and onward, they know how to bring a receiver in motion. It's not that difficult. So why aren't they doing it?
Hmm.
These little things, they're getting by off of a lot of sheer talent, but in terms of ingenuity, in terms of complexity within the offense, little wrinkles, and they don't have as much as they should, considering the pedigree of the offensive coordinator that they have and the caliber of offensive weapons they have.
Yeah.
Mitty and AJ and even Saquon. I mean, you could be moving him all across the field. We saw
Yeah.
Thomas Jacobs out lined up out wide.
Yeah.
And him all around as well. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that they don't do that with Saquon at times, but it's we're used, maybe we got spoiled by Brian Westbrook, or we're seeing him use like a Swiss Army knife, or
Hmm.
even Austin Eckler with the
Yeah.
Chargers, and at times when he was healthy with the Commanders.
Hmm.
It's just, at times you have to pay attention to fine detail, and at times you have to make sure you don't overcomplicate it.
Hmm.
Times you have to go from being very sophisticated with your play calling and switch over to certain aspects have to be like sandlot football. Hey, yo, hand signal, you know, um, blue 42, Omaha, whatever, where the guy gets the signal to come in motion, just so you can see whether it's man or zone. Simple shit, man.
Yeah.
Um, so that being said, he people assume that guys are open all the time when he's sitting back there holding the ball. And people will get up in arms. Oh man, he sucks. You see what I told you? It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta let people
Yeah.
have their moment. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to call people out specifically or nothing like that, but you have to keep things in perspective. So,
Hmm.
you look at the offense and how the one thing I will say is when he's scrambling outside the pocket, you have to throw the ball away, man. There's no reason
You
you should
do.
be sliding at the sideline. Just flip the ball towards the line of scrimmage and out of bounds. Or just aim for your receiver downfield and just throw it way over their head, dude.
100%, man. And it's just like it's not like we don't already know this, but dude, that touchdown pass to Jahan Dotson, I literally timed that play like earlier. I was watching it.
Yeah.
It that he had 10 whole ass seconds to get that ball to Jahan Dotson. That's how good our offensive line is. That to me is crazy. Like that just tells you how good this O line is. But but it also speaks how long did these routes take to develop, you know? That's another concern I have.
Exactly. They get overly enamored with the amount of talent they have. And I think that's, again, we'll go back to what we talked about last year, a certain level of arrogance and overconfidence,
Hmm.
considering the weapons you have. And they put up a stat, and, those watching, let me know what you think of this stat. They were saying that the average amount of yards before Saquon Barkley is getting contacted is 2 yards after he touches the ball past the line of scrimmage. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So if he's getting 2 yards past the line of scrimmage before he even gets a hand put on him, and then he's running full speed, and at the very least he's going to fall forward for 2 or 3 yards. That's why he's getting 5 yards to carry at minimum.
Yeah.
The next closest team is I think the average is 1.1 yards before contact.
Yeah.
Now I don't know where the Lions stand at, or some of the other really good run teams, but again, we are the best in the league.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason why we're able to get a win like that, despite our quarterback only passing the ball, what, 13 times or a very
Yeah.
a very low amount of times, 21 times, 21 attempts, 13 completions, 131 yards, but 2 touchdowns. And then Saquon's got a buck 19 on the ground, and they're just doing what they want to. And
Yeah.
you combine that with a this defense is consistent. That's the one thing we've lacked in recent years.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not just that they hit hard. And you saw that, I mean, you can count this as special teams, but still, that first play, message sent, give us the damn ball.
Yeah.
And then
Um,
defensively, like they're suffocated. Every time they were J Jordan Love, he had the elbow injury, and it was apparent to me that he was struggling to hit some of these basic throws, like a basic flat route, flat route right to the sideline. He couldn't hit that like two or
mhm.
three times in that game. He couldn't
Yeah.
hit. Um,
Right.
some throws, the first throw of the game sailed on him, or one of those
Mhm.
throws sailed on him, and he's lucky that CJ didn't pick it off.
Yeah. I remember that throw.
And then some of the passes that these guys were catching were hospital passes.
Yeah.
I remember one, it was uh 13 Yicks. Yeah, Dontavian Wicks. He got one pass and man, he got lit up, man. So it's the physicality that this Eagles defense brings along with the consistency. when when our defenders are one-on-one in space, gone are the days where guys are getting juked out of their shoes. No, they know exactly where their help's at, and they're leveraging their position on the field, and you're not getting these lucky, extra 5, 10 yards because a guy doesn't know how to take the right angle. That doesn't happen anymore. And that's
Hmm.
a huge thing.
Right.
So I really like what this defense did. And then going back to Jalen Hurts, and you can let me know what you think about this. People don't realize how good this Packers defense is.
Yeah.
It started out the year average to below average. And ever since the middle of the season, they have gelled together somewhat in the same vein as the Eagles defense has, as the season has progressed. And they
Mhm.
were a top five defense down the stretch. So, you got to give the Packers some credit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Jalen Hurts had some rust he could knock off, and could he play better? Obviously, yes. But coming back from a concussion and then playing a damn near a top five defense, he did pretty damn good considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
And going
Agreed.
back to what you said about the lack of innovation with the play calling, you can't have that
Mhm.
against that type of squad. So, all things being considered, they just get the job done. When it's time to make passes, touchdown to Dallas Goedert. When it's time to make a pass early on, touchdown to Jahan Dotson. When it's time
Yeah.
to run the ball, when everybody's covered, minus the one penalty that brought back one of the runs, he's taking off and gashing them on the ground. So
Hmm.
the la to the best of my knowledge, the quarterback is supposed to put you in the best give you the best opportunity to win the game, and he consistently does that. It's just not
Yeah.
necessarily in the way that people like or expect out of a quarterback.
Hmm.
And maybe this
Yeah.
goes back to the whole running quarterback, and um people have their biases. And like I
Hmm.
said, he's not perfect, but why does it make a difference if he's throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns versus throwing for 100 yards and rushing for 3 touchdowns? Does it really make a difference at the end of the day? If he does that every game and it's not like just a fluke,
Yeah.
we're not talking about Anthony Richardson, who really struggles passing the ball for the Colts, but he can run the ball, but he just struggles. No. Jalen Hurts. when it matters, he's going to make the play for you. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
you
that the
should.
coaches can do more. Coaches can do more to help him.
Yeah, they need to, especially with, when we talk about get more creative with the offense and not looking predictable. Because at the end of the day, I really don't, if they continue to do that within this playoff run, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to make it past either the next round or the following. Because I think, it's going to be the same thing. I mean, if we end up facing the Vikings, I
Right.
mean, they have a good defense. We're not, that's going to be, a struggle as well. When you're in the playoffs, these teams play you different. This is playoff football. They're going to look for your absolute, what you do bad, and they are going to expose you. They bring a different type of level when it comes to playoff football. They bring a different type of energy, and they got to know that. And they got to know we got to throw in these wrinkles and do something different because otherwise, at the end of the day, you're not going to get to where you want to go if you don't. Play calling is big.
Right. It's huge. It's huge. And on that topic, let's talk about some of the action from the NFC over this weekend. So the first one, the Buccaneers and the Commanders. Um, that's the game that already happened. We already have the Vikings and Rams coming up tonight, but this I predicted that the Commanders would quote unquote upset the Buccaneers, but for me, it wasn't really as much of an upset as them exploiting a weakness that the Buccaneers have in their defense, man. Like
Yeah.
they I don't know if Antoine Winfield Jr. is out for the year. I feel like I haven't seen him all year. Vita Vea, I don't think he's in. Like they just have all these pieces going. They're not the same defense.
No,
And
they've been playing. They were playing last night. I saw them on the field.
oh well, either way, they're not the same defense.
Yeah, they're not.
They're really struggling. And I thought that along with having the X factor and Jaden Daniels was going to be a reason why they might get upset, and they did.
Hmm.
I think my argument was that I trust the Commanders' offense against Tampa's defense more than I trust Tampa's offense against the Commanders' defense. It's
Yeah,
really that simple.
yeah, it is.
Um, so, they moved on, got the dub over the Buccaneers. And then tonight, then that means that the winner of the Rams and the Vikings are the team that we will be playing. So, what do you think about this matchup and who would you want to see in this next round?
Truthfully, I'd rather see the Rams because I believe the Vikings just have a better defense. But then it's like, you know, I I don't know. I feel like we can match up well with either one of these teams, truthfully. I feel like we would still do good against the Vikings, but truthfully, if I'm picking one, yeah, it's the Rams. I mean, how do you truthfully feel?
I'm right there with you. I think the Rams are the low-hanging fruit, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I agree 110%. I know the Rams did beat the Vikings this year, so it can happen, man.
Oh yeah, because you have Puka Nacua and then you have Cooper Cup. I know they struggled down the stretch, but the talent's there. All they need is one game to remember who they are, and then you have issues. And then they obviously have Kyron Williams and that running game. Um, but the Vikings, Justin Jefferson is the X factor.
Yeah,
And all have to do is give Sam Darnold enough time, and they can go from looking like they don't belong there to being a dark horse that may not
yeah.
make the Super Bowl, but they can wreck some dreams along the way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. We can't. That's a team I definitely would not take lightly, especially if we played the Vikings. But because I think Mitchell's gonna have his hands full against JJ.
Oh, he will. He will. So we'll see what comes out of that game. But me and Ryan both we want to see the Rams. I think that the Rams will win this game. What do you think will happen in this game?
I think the same. I mean, they're at home. We've like I said, we've seen. I trust Matthew Stafford over Sam Darnold, but at the end of the day, he has JJ, has all those weapons. You never know, man. But so the Vikings are a really good team. They're there for a reason. They got 14 wins for a reason. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully it is the Rams.
Yeah, we're gonna see, man. And then what's interesting is, let's say we get the Rams and then we get past the Rams, right? The Commanders, win, lose, or draw, they can make that game so damn tough for the Lions. That's what I'm
Oh,
really looking
sure.
for.
Yeah,
Let's say the Commanders win. I would like to see the Commanders again.
I would too.
But if they lose, I want them to take a pound of flesh out of the Lions even further before we meet them.
Yeah, I
And
feel the same.
because it's going to be tough on that defense that's already limping through the playoffs to deal with Jaden Daniels.
hmm
Why? Especially they like to run the ball. So
hmm
they're going to be just as physical with the Lions as the Lions are going to be physical with them, with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and their offensive line. So,
Yeah,
you know,
it's gonna be a good game, man. I'm def. That's a game I'm definitely looking forward to. That's gonna be playing during my birthday weekend, but hey, I'll have it. I'll have it on probably.
yeah, there you go, man. So who you got winning that game, man?
Um, I mean, I just, hmm. It's tough, man. Like some people will think I'm crazy, but I mean that Lions defense, they're the wounded, they're the walking wounded, man. Like there's, I really think the Commanders can upset them, but at the end of the day, I kind of feel like the Lions are just going to be too much for them. The offense they have, man, it's just. They're just so good, man. Laporta, Montgomery, Gibbs, they're loaded. Like, St. Brown, like they just got so many weapons. But at the end of the day, can Commanders give them a loss? Yeah, for sure. Simply because of Jaden Daniels. He's been that good this year. And like we said, the Lions defense is not that good. So yeah, I can see an upset, but at the same time, I feel like the Lions are going to take this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lions are more physical in a way that the Buccaneers aren't. Not because obviously Bucky Irvin and that run game they can move, but their line does not do what the Lions can do. The
Exactly.
Lions can just wear you down over 4 quarters. So, I think that they'll get to the Commanders more because the Commanders, they can't stop the run.
No.
I That's been pretty clear since we played them even the first time.
hmm
So they're going to have big time issues. And the Lions, and the one thing that I like about Dan Campbell is him and that team know that their identity and who they are. They're not here to try to, recreate reinvent the wheel. They're like, no, we're going to run the ball. We're going to make you quit, man. It's just that simple. Come see us.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, man, I mean, I don't think there's a better 1-2 punch combo in the league right now. I mean, I think Saquon's better than both of them, but truthfully, if 1-2 punch combo, they're the best in the league.
Oh, I think hands down. I don't,
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
no debate.
Yeah. But you let's say we do make it to the championship game and we see the Lions. Lane Johnson has that sheet up in his locker with all the stats comparing him to Panay Sewell, and
hmm
everybody's been talking about. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting, but yeah, man, it's going to be a tough road, man, but we can do it. I still believe, we just got to get our shit together and stop being so damn predictable, and I think we'll be all right.
I completely agree, man. So let us know what you think about the NFC, and briefly as we wrap up here, we're going to get into the AFC and what happened because I specifically want to talk about the Texans and the Chargers game. Because that prediction of mine went wacky for reasons
Mhm.
that are just so bizarre that it's hard to even like wrap my head around it. So before I get to that game, Ravens Steelers, that was like a funeral procession. I already knew what was happening in that game, man. No offense
Yeah.
to Steelers fans, but like they were dead in the water the past 4 weeks, like the Eagles were last year when they were limping into the playoffs. Like we knew what we were walking into.
hmm
Um, Bills Broncos. I picked the Bills. And it went it was close to the way I thought it would play out. I thought it would be a close game for the first half or so because the Broncos have a very, very, very tough defense. And Bo Nix he has gotten so much better since week one, and he's one of the best young quarterbacks they've had in a long, long time. You know,
Hmm.
they haven't had homegrown talent since Elway, and the other talent that they have, Bubby Brister and who else used to be there back in the day. It wasn't the last guy. See, Jake Plummer still wasn't homegrown. They traded for him from the Cardinals. So like
Yeah,
to actually have a homegrown guy, it's been like over a quarter century, damn near.
yeah,
So and he 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 kept them in that game as long as he could, but it was obvious they were limited, and they stuck around, man, because the Bills were having trouble with them first half. They really
yeah. They were.
so that game played out the way I thought it would, but the wild card game, pun intended, was the Texans and the Chargers. And I thought the Texans were a better team, but I thought that they were so inconsistent, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde going into the playoffs. You don't never know
Hmm.
what you're gonna get from them 1 minute to the next. 1 minute
Yeah.
CJ Stroud can look like the offensive rookie of the year from last year, and the next minute he looks like a backup. Like you just don't know what you're gonna get out of him.
Hmm.
And that's what I said in my prediction. And man, how many interceptions does dude have? I gotta look this up real quick. Because I said that man, he going to turn the ball over. They're a turnover machine. He had one interception, but he had a couple passes that could have and should have been picked off. And I'm just looking at the amount of turnovers, the amount of times that the Chargers had a chance to really take control of the game and just refuse to do so. I'm like, man, y'all making me look stupid, man, because oh my win probability on ESPN up until the last minute or so of the second quarter, the Chargers were actually predicted to win based on how the
Yeah,
game was going,
yeah.
right? And because they were up 6-0. They were up 6-0 throughout the whole first half, and the Texans looked like they couldn't even remember how to play football for a hot second. The defense
Yeah.
was the only thing keeping them in the game.
Right.
Um, and man, let me see how many turnovers this team had. Because it was ugly by that Texans offense. I don't know what they're going to. They had three turnovers. Three
Hmm.
turnovers in this game. And they somehow
Wow.
won 32-12 because the game went off the rails in the second half for the Chargers.
Hmm.
Justin Herbert started throwing interceptions, and
Yeah.
that's really went off the rails. But like right before half, the Texans were able to get a touchdown and get a lead. And then even coming out of halftime, they only got a field goal. So it was only like 10-6 or maybe
Hmm.
13-6 at the most. Like the Chargers were right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was bizarre. That was bizarre. So
Yeah. I was kind of surprised myself, Stan, because I predicted for the Chargers to win too. I thought the Chargers. I thought the Chargers were for sure winning that game. I mean, Harbaugh, he's got them boys on defense playing well. Herbert's
yeah.
playing good enough. They had a decent year, made it to the playoffs, but I never saw them losing to the Texans, truthfully. But
Well, it looked like it, man. Like it looked like they had them locked down, clink clink locked down, like they wasn't doing nothing the first half. And
yeah, man.
it's like the Chargers offense was doing everything in their power to try to give the game back to the Texans in their house.
Yeah,
In their house, you had them shut down and you just couldn't. I
yeah,
get they have Joe Mixon and some of those weapons, but it's like, man, yeah, that's a tough one.
yeah, for sure. As you said, Stan, you didn't see it happen. I didn't see it happening, but guess what? It happened.
Look, I'm not mad. I mean, look, during my
Yeah,
season as a Raiders fan, I don't want
yeah,
to see them win, but they haven't won anything. So sometimes I catch myself rooting for them and forgetting that they're a rival.
yeah.
They're the redheaded stepchild of the AFC West. Like they just never win. Uh,
Pretty
uh,
much, man. I
but
mean that the Chargers need weapons, bro. Let's just be honest. That Justin Herbert. It's kind of hard for Justin Herbert to be successful when you don't have anybody, man. Like, what's his best weapon? McConkey. Like,
he's a rookie and he's done well. But
yeah, he's played well, but you don't have anything outside of that, really. Not much.
Josh Palmer, the past 2 or 3 years, was supposed to break out as this superstar receiver when everybody got hurt. Keenan Allen got hurt. He was supposed to break out. Didn't happen.
Yeah,
McConkey, maybe he was out for a little bit. It didn't happen.
yeah,
Um, Quentin Johnson, he's had flashes of brilliance at times this year after having a really disappointing rookie year, but like you don't know if he's the answer.
yeah.
So like you have your guy Josh Palmer, he's not doing anything. You have no tight ends.
Right.
Quentin Mitchell, like you hope he's not a first round bust, but he may be. McConkey, I think he will be the receiver of the future, but
Yeah,
there's only so much you could do as a rookie this year.
yeah, for sure.
And he was phenomenal. Like, don't get me wrong, he was
Yeah,
phenomenal. But like
yeah, yeah. He had a good
everybody,
rookie year.
when everybody knows the ball is going to Lad, they can key in on him, man. You
Yeah, for
can't run
sure.
the ball. J.K. Dobbins and it ain't getting it done.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Oh well. So sad. Catch you next year.
Hmm.
I think that's it for this episode. I think we pretty much covered everything. Let us know what you think about the Eagles win, what they did good, what they need to clean up, and who you want to see them face next week. Do you want to see them face Minnesota or the Rams? And who do you think will win that game tonight? Let us know in the comments below. And with that said, we'll catch you on the next one. Go Rams.